Right, can we start with the salawat, please? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's the matter? There's not many smiles going on. It's Qur'an, for God's sakes. Okay, right. You've got introduction to journaling. You've got the color directory, which you should know. The resources are there. If you scan that QR code, you'll get all the resources on there. The audio video is on that screen. You've got the Quran City map. You can order that. You can download it. You can print it. And it's entirely up to you. It tends to help. We'll go over it one day. And now it's frozen. Fatim, your laptop is frozen. Doesn't want to move. Okay, it did. Quran City Gates. Yes? You know about that. You know the road network is M14. You cannot understand any of the surahs without, if I can say, the tafasir from the Masumin, right? You all know this one. Walzam qalbi hifdha kitabika kama allamtani. You should know it by heart now. Basically, I want to fall in love with this book. That's basically what it says. Right, Surah Al-Fatiha, focus, quickly. Come on, haven't got time. Summary of the Quran. Baqarah, history of faith. Al Imran, Muslim identity. Okay, Nisa, manifestation of that identity, how it will come into a social atmosphere. Okay, Surah Al-Ma'idah tends to continue, but in essence, Surah Al-Ma'idah is perfection of religion. Okay, An'am, we talked about it, it's practicalities of Tawheed. It sort of carries on these social values. But it also talks about, and we'll talk about it today, which is self-imposed restrictions. Very, very, very often, especially as Khojas, we tend to put in restrictions that we impose on ourselves. We kind of say, this will not work if we don't do it this way, right? And the Quran sort of doesn't like that very much. So we stopped at 125, I think, in Shira. Do you remember? Right. Now, if you go to your Qur'ans and you come to ayah 136. So now, this is the first time where the word An'am comes in. An'am is all sort of meat, all sort of cattle as such. You can't just restrict it to goats or cows or any sort of halal food or meat, halal meat that you're going to have from those animals is known as An'am. Now here Allah is saying, well, let's see what restrictions you've put on yourself. Let's just see how you divide your food. So he says, وَجَعَلُوا لِلَّهِ مِمَّا ذَرَعَ مِنَ الْحَرْثِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ. You see what they did was, they set apart a portion for Allah and you know, out of what they had got, out of their things. So, say for example, we could give khums. Yes, 1/5, we will come to that, but we give khums 1/5. So they did that. Then they said, this is for Allah. And they said, some of it that we go for Allah will also go to our associates. I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about them, okay? They'll go to our associates. So our representatives, we will give it to them. And these representatives, in essence, pretended to be representatives of divinity and took the money, right? And when they took that money, you felt you'd done your bit. You also know that when you give to charity, you have to find out where it goes. It's not up to them. If you gave money to charity and you don't take a receipt, it's not anybody's fault but your own. You can't say, but I trust you. It is better for the charity that they gave you a receipt. Now, I don't like suggesting Indian movies to you, but I will. So there's an Indian movie called OMG. It's about a guy called Kanjibai. And there's an earthquake. And his shop is ruined with the earthquake. And when he goes to the insurance company, they say, we will not pay you. Yes, I've watched it. Say, we will not pay you. So he sues God. He goes to court and he sues God. And the people who come in are the swamis and all the representatives. And they even have mullahs coming in and the Christian priests coming in. And he soon finds that even the milk that they pour onto the idols is channeled into a sort of, if I can say, a little groove or a little place. And that goes back to them and they sell it and they get the money. Now, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about this, right? And you've got to be very careful what you do, how you spend your money. You know, it's hard-earned money. When you give it to charity, it's got to reach the people that it's supposed to reach. Are you good? Okay. Well, this is what An'am is about. They put self-imposed restrictions. And you will see later on in the surah, we won't go to it, but as you read the surah, you will find that what they said, well, this is okay for men, and women cannot have this, and children cannot have that. Then they put self-imposed restrictions. I know there was a time when people said that when there was what do you call it? One of these moon things, eclipses, that women who were pregnant could not use scissors and knives because their children would be hurt. Oh, are you serious? This is ayatul la. Sataka read salatul ayat. So they hid themselves in a room. They closed the room in the dark and they sat there until the eclipse was over. Namaz gazate ge mandone. But they had to not touch a knife. That was good. They got a day off from the kitchen, okay? I don't know, maybe that's where it came from. Okay, 6145. Let's go there. Now, these are Allah's prohibitions. And in your stickers, somebody said they came here for the stickers. I love it. So the sticker is a cross, divine prohibitions, right? So this is basically talking about meat. And in essence, if you look at 645, it says, you can't eat something that dies of itself. You know that, right? Number 2, you cannot have blood. Number 3, you cannot have pork. And number 4, you cannot have non-halal meat. These are God's prohibitions in what you and I eat. And each of them has a reason. Inshallah, we will go into them at some point. Right, 151. Now, these are the prohibitions we're going to look at. 151 and 152, you've got 2 crosses in your stickers. One you will put on 145, and one you will put in the middle of 151 and 152. And you will find in 151 and 152, there are 9 prohibitions. Please remember the number 9. Okay, 9. So he says, قُلْ تَعَالَوْا. Now remember, ta'alaw in Arabic is come. You will not find that anywhere in the Qur'an. He says, Qul, and then he tells you what he tells the prophets to tell us. Here he says, Ta'alaw, come. I'll tell you what's important. He says, Utlu ma harrama rabbukum alaykumul. Now what has Allah refused? What does he say? He said, the first thing, what? Allah tushriku bihi shay'a. First thing, do not associate anyone with God. Are you good? No associations with God. He is God, full stop. No comparison. We say, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. None like him. Whoever you think is godly, is way above. Okay, so first thing. Next thing, wa bil walidaini ihsan. And it doesn't matter what your parents are like. You have to do ihsan. And you know, they can be pretty difficult. I'm 66. I know how difficult I am. Okay? It can be a pain in the neck. But still, wabil walidaini ihsan. We can go into ihsan a lot. I'm just going to talk about it a little bit because it's important if you've got little ones here. So, Shaheed Mutahari explains it really well, and I'll do it in my language. He says, if you have £1 and your neighbor has none, it is your responsibility. Okay, say you have £2 and your neighbor has none. It is your responsibility to give your neighbor £1. Ihsan is when you give both pounds to your neighbors. So if your parents went through your pockets and took your money, you can't say anything. It is called ihsan. Okay? Quite hard to sort of swallow. But he says, وَبِالْ وَالِدَيْنِ ihsana. Number 2. Number 3, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُم مِّنْ إِمْلَاقٍ. You cannot kill your children. You cannot have abortions because you think you can't afford children. People don't go around killing children, but they do have abortions because this is my right. This is my body's right. That I can't have, I won't be able to afford this, whether it's time or whatever it is. You can't do that, okay? نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. Not only do we provide risk for them, we provide risk for you as well. You good with that? Number 3. Okay, number 4, what does it say? وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ. Do not go near any form of shamelessness, whether it is direct or indirect. You know, when I was little, and we had one television, really big, thick television. Do you remember them? Like really big ones. None of this thin stuff, okay? This big one. And it had this beautiful cover over it, like a white cover. And the cover used to go up, and we used to watch the television. God forbid, even if somebody was holding hands, my Fui would put the cover down. She would say, Astaghfirullah, you can't watch this in front of parents. But you didn't realize what she was saying. It was right, what she was doing. Now to sit with my children and watch a program where there's something that is, it's difficult. It's uncomfortable to do that. So this is exactly what he's saying, whether it is apparent or not, it's become a part of life. But, okay, next one. We don't do this, I think. وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. You will not kill anyone. You will not kill anyone unless it is justified in a court of law. But I will also add a little bit here what Mufassirin say. You will not even kill somebody's heart. And we do that very often by saying things. You can't do that. You can't tell somebody, even some people are even very, very sensitive if you tell them, I don't like the color of your scarf. I get very sensitive, it hurts them. Don't. You don't like it, keep it to yourself. Okay? No point telling anybody. Okay, ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَأْكِلُونَ. Okay, next ayah. Now the next one. Okay, where did we get to? Do not kill anyone. Number 5. We're on number 6 now. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. Don't take an orphan's money. Don't look into their wealth. Don't take it. Don't go towards it unless you are doing something right for them. Okay, so don't steal basically. حَتَّى يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ بِالْقِسْطِ. And when you give, make sure when you do business dealings, when you deal with somebody, be fair. This is not only talking about weighing stuff in a grocery shop. It's talking about any sort of business dealing that you have. Be fair. Don't say, well, now, because it's supply and demand, and because it's now school holidays, the fares are going to go up. Right? Sorry. I'm just talking on behalf of airlines. All right? You can't do that. You have to do it the way it is. If the demand is more and the supply is less, doesn't mean you put up your price. Okay. لا يكلف نفسا إلا وسعها. He does not put any difficulty on anybody, basically. Then he says, وَإِذَا قُلْتُمْ فَعْدِلُوا. When you talk with justice. In other words, when you speak, be fair. Even if it's to close relations. Even if it's to your children. Talk to them well, okay? وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى. Even if they're near you. وَبِأَحْدِ اللَّهِ أَوْفُوا ذَلِكَ. And the last one is, when you make a promise to Allah, fulfill it. Make sure you fulfill it. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. It is something to think about. The moment I say, لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ مُحَمَّدٌ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ Aliyun Waliullah. I have made a promise that I will submit to Allah. I have made a promise that I will follow divine guidance. And I have made a promise that I will understand who I am as a Shia of Ali. That is a promise I've made. Even everything I say in Salah. The moment I say Allahu Akbar, I am saying Allah is greater than absolutely anything that happens to me. And then to panic, that means I've broken my promise. But that's between me and him. When I say Iyake na'budu wa iyake nasta'in. You and you alone do I submit to, and you alone do I ask for help. Or we ask for help. All these are promises that we make. All right, 155. I could go on a bit about that. All right, 155. وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ. This book. أَنزَلْنَاهُ. نَزَّلَ bit by bit. أَنزَلَ all at once. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. All at once. But you will find in the Quran where there's a shadda, it means bit by bit. Here it says, this book we sent down all at once. This book is Mubarak. Barakah means it gives you more than you deserve. It just keeps on giving. Infinite. Okay, it just goes on and on and on. Fattabi'uhu. You need to do ittiba. Now you remember we talked about ittiba and You forgot. I talked about two concepts. Let me take you back. Surah Al Baqarah. Do I have to take you back? Do you remember it or not? Do you remember ita'a and ittiba? Come on, you can't forget. Ita'a was the bare minimum. Ittiba is following somebody. If they stepped, you would step into their footsteps. Everything. So he says, fattabi'uhu, follow this book to its T. So you can quote it. So whoever says anything, even to yourself when you're talking, you're quoting the book. وَاتَّقُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And be God conscious. If you want rahmah, and we'll talk about what rahmah is and the difference between maghfirah and rahmah. Okay? We'll come to it in Surah Al A'raaf. Oh, this you know. So 6:160. It's really cool. And I bet you know it, but I don't think you know it the way it should be known. He says, Man ja'a bil hasanati, whosoever brings a good deed, falahu ashru amthaliha. For him there is 10 times more, or for her there is 10 times more. Now, he doesn't say who does a good deed. Do in Arabic is fi'l. Ja'a is just to bring. An example I can give you is, in school they do show and tell. Have you got children? They do show and tell. So you give them something, they go to school and they talk about it. They didn't do it. You did all the work. You even wrote the speech down for them. Yet they went and they shared it. Here he's saying, if you share one good deed, you show and tell it. Forget about doing it. You didn't even do it. But you shared a good deed, you get 10 times the reward. And then somebody will say, but they didn't do it. No, but they encouraged you. Whether it was marketing, whether they drew you into here, whether they brought you into here, however they did it, they got you here and they changed who you were. Obviously, you can go back to the ayah. I think you've only got that much there. But your ayah says, وَمَنْ جَاءَ سَيِّئَةٍ. But if you showed and tell something evil, فَلَا يُجْزَى إِلَّا مِثْلَهَا, you will only get the same back amount. Isn't it wonderful? So show and tell as much as possible. Go on social media. These days you can do it so well. Right, 6162. Probably one of the most beautiful ayat of the Qur'an. You're supposed to recite this, by the way, before your salah. You know that? Before every salah, you're supposed to recite this. He says, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ Alameen. Okay, so you're supposed to say this before every salah. Now let's just look at it a little bit. First of all, salah. Salah you pray every day. You good? Daily. Nusuk is a sacrifice. Normally, people sacrifice on Eid al-Hajj. Yes, I'm talking about normal, not the other sacrifices. So one is talking about every day. One is talking about once a year. Mahyaya is talking about a whole lifespan. Mamati is talking about the other lifespan. So you are saying basically, which you're supposed to say before Salah, which is all the time, that my daily stuff, my annual stuff, my whole life, and my whole death, I will work around Allah, lillahi rabbil alameen. It's a beautiful ayah. There's so much to it. I've just taken bits and pieces. Mahya can also mean where you live. Mamat can also mean where I die. It could be the place. It could be lots of different things. But I'm just giving you a general overall look at it. All right. And then he goes, I'd like to look at ayah 164 there. He says, قل أغير الله أبغي ربا وهو رب كل شيء ولا تكسب كل نفس إليها. Now my grandmother used to say this all the time. ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. Now that's something you need to know in your vocabulary. Do you want to repeat that with me? ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. Wizr is a heavy load. Basically you're saying you can blame who you like, but nobody is going to bear your burden. So if I said, my mama didn't teach me, they weren't like that before. When I grew up, they just taught me zwad. They didn't say wad. So it's their fault. My madrasa, my workshop, it's all their fault. It's not my fault. It doesn't matter. It's you. So basically, my grandma used to say this, because when something was broken at home or something was wrong, and she would say, who did it? We said, he told us to do it. And she would say exactly this thing. She would say, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةً وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. As children, we didn't know the meaning, but we knew that meant that you don't blame anybody else. You always come to yourself. You and I are what we are because of ourselves. We can't say my sasu is bad and my sasra is bad, my husband is this. And you can't give any excuses at all. It is up to you. Are you good? Okay, great. Right, now we were going to do Sirat al-Mustaqim. Now you remember I told you way back in Surah Al-Fatiha that it is in this surah that you will find a reference of 5 references of Sirat al-Mustaqim. So I'd like you to go back to ayah 39. And because we've done the ayat, it's not going to be difficult. And I'll tell you how I've written it down in my Qur'an so you know exactly what to do. So ayah 39 talks about Sirat al-Mustaqim. And basically if you look at it, it says, those who reject our communications, or rather, وَالَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سُمٌّ وَبُكْمٌ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ مَنْ يَشَاءِ اللَّهُ يُضْلِلْهُ وَمَنْ يَشَاء يَجْعَلْهُ عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Basically, you are not on Sirat al-Mustaqim if you do not follow divine guidance. Basically, bottom line. If you say, I will not follow divine guidance, which is Qur'an and the Ahlul Bayt, then basically you're not on Sirat al-Mustaqim. And if for 10 times a day I say, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. So the first thing I've got to keep in my mind is follow divine guidance. Right, next one, ayah 87. And you can stick those pictures of, you've got stickers with Sirat al-Mustaqim on them, right? I hope, because I had them, so you must have them too. So 87, again self-explanatory. Because now, if you look at the ayah before, have you got 84, 83, 84, 85, 86? Can you see them? They're the prophets. And basically saying, وَمِنْ آبَائِهِمْ وَذُرِّيَّاتِهِمْ وَإِخْوَانِهِمْ وَاجْتَبَيْنَاهُمْ وَهَدَيْنَاهُمْ إِلَىٰ صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. We guided those prophets on Siratul Mustaqim. So my second thing on Siratul Mustaqim, when I say Hidden Siratul Mustaqim, I need to know the stories of the prophets. When they teach them at madrasa or workshop or wherever you go, it's so you and I learn. You know, all the du'as we have are du'as that came from the prophets. Do you know the concept of kintsugi? Okay, I'll tell you. So in Japan, they started there. The history goes that Japanese love their tea. You know that? Have you been to Japan? Inshallah, you will go one day. They've got a wonderful Shia society there. Anyway, so this particular Japanese emperor wanted his tea. The guy brought it in a beautiful teapot and he dropped it. And the teapot broke. But it was his favorite teapot. So the guy put it together with gold. And when he put it together with gold, it was even prettier. You know, a normal bowl costs less than a kintsugi bowl, which has been put together with gold. All the du'as that we are taught by the prophets in the Qur'an are kintsugi. They put us together and they make our value greater. Any dua you take. Anni maglubun fantasir. You know which dua that is? That is Prophet No. Prophet Musa. Rabbini lima anzaltu ilayya min khairin fakhir. I just want anything good that you can give me. Musa, the other one. Kalla inna ma'aya rabbi sayahdin. All these du'as. So he's saying here, when I say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, study the lives of this prophet. If I were to ask you in chronological order, do you know the names of the prophets? Chronological order. No, we'll do that next time, inshallah. Okay. Next one, 126. Okay. So we have a bookmark, and we'll make sure we bring it next time, and we'll give it out to you. 126 is basically Inshira. You remember we did Inshira? Because straight after he says, وَهَذَا صِرَاطُ رَبِّكَ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. Basically, if you've got a big heart, you're on Siratul Mustaqim. If you are a heart that is zayyik, that is really constricted, no Siratul Mustaqim. You can have a big heart, okay? Like I mentioned last week, no choyapanu. Okay, got a really big heart. Share. Right, 153, next one. Again, you're going to stick that. And he says, وَإِنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِ مُسْتَقِيمًا. And again you will find this comes before 151 and 152. If you follow the 9 prohibitions, then you are on Sirat al-Mustaqim. Are you good? Right, 161. It's quite easy because we've done it before. All I needed to bring it to you. Now 161 he says, قُلْ إِنَّنِي هَدَانِ رَبِّي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. The more show and tell you do about your deeds, you are on Sirat al-Mustaqim. You good? I was told I was too fast. Story of my life. Okay. Have I got some time? Yes. Okay. So we're going to look at Surah Al A'raaf. I'm going to start it off. You've got some stickers there, right? I love Surah Al A'raaf. And I don't think we'll get there, but we need to know where A'raaf is. You know, the word Arafah comes from the same place. You know what Arafah means? To be able to recognize. You can only recognize something if you are a little bit at a height. If you're in the same place, you can't recognize it. If you have driven like I do, and I'm a bit blind at 66, okay? So if I drive, and I drive in a low car, the lights of the other person come into my eyes, and I can't even see what car it is. If you're a bit higher, you know, in one of those poshy cars, right? Sorry. So there's big cars. You can see a bit down, and you're able to recognize those cars. There was a value to them anyway. So A'raaf is a height. It's up there. And we'll come to it. You'll see, oh, it's so awesome. The stories are just amazing. But right now, we're going to go into the first one, which is 723. Now, I was trying to work out how to put this to you. But I'm going to try really hard, okay? Now, this is the first dua that human beings did. And because it's probably the only dua we'll be able to today before we finish, I'd like to talk to you about it. So you imagine, okay? I'm telling you in my words so you understand. Adam and Hawa. So Adam is created in Jannah. I've got 5 minutes, okay. So Adam is created in Jannah, and Hawa is created. And she says, oh, he looks nice. My words, okay? He looks nice. So she says, come here. He says, you come here. He says, no, that's not happening. You want to come? You come. She likes him, but she calls him. So you know where we stand, right? Okay. So they like each other. He realizes he needs company. Like I said this morning, imagine you and I were told, Kilad kulil Jannah. Qur'an said, enter Jannah. And there's nobody there. No phone. Nobody you can contact. You're all alone in these beautiful mansions, rivers of honey. I don't know, whatever your Jannah is. That Jannah is there. No Pakistani plays. No television. You have been given Jannah. Maybe a day you'll think, oh, peace and quiet, hush, I can have whatever I want. It's good. But the second day you will crave for Stanmore. Will you not? And you'll say, Ya Allah, even if they're in hell, I want to go there. I can't live on my own. So they both realize the value of companionship. So imagine they're sitting on a balcony. Okay, sorry. I just need to make you imagine. Beautiful sunset. They've got mojitos, halal ones, okay? And they're drinking their mojitos and they're looking at the sunset and they're thinking, I just wish this moment wouldn't go. And suddenly this old man comes and he says, do you like it here? And they say, yeah, we love it. Now they were told that they had to catch a flight back home that day. But they got so engrossed in here, and that old man saying that, you want this to last forever? You want permanent residency in Jannah? Just don't take the flight back home. And they said, yeah, that's easy. We want to stay here all our lives. These people were told, don't. Now the tree is a metaphor. Don't go near that tree. Because they were so happy. That's what they wanted. So they both went near the tree. As soon as they went near the tree, they realized, oh my goodness. Just like I thought, now I need to go home. I'm tired of holidays. Do you get tired of holidays? I don't know, I do. Okay. So you go to the airport and they say your flight's gone and there's not another flight for another month. And you go, oh my God. And that's exactly what they did. Oh my God. What have we done? We were told that we weren't supposed to go near that tree. Now, if you look at the ayah before, which is 22, it tells you that they started covering themselves up with the leaves of Jannah. Because, now this is again a metaphor. All right, I'm not asking you to look at scriptures. I'm looking at what our Mufassirin say. Basically, when you do something that is not right, even if it's a mistake, you feel exposed. And you find that you feel a bit cold and you want to wrap yourself a bit tighter. It's just a human being. You know, you want to look down. You don't want to look at people. You don't want to look at their eyes. You just want to look down and you want to hide somewhere. Even though they might not know what you have done. But you just don't want to come into the center. Or you don't want to come in front of people. So the first ayah says that they were feeling so exposed, they just wanted to cover themselves up. So what do? They say, oh my goodness, we've done something wrong. رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا. Both of them say, we have done dhulm, we have been unjust to ourselves. وَإِلَّمْ تَغْفِرْ لَنَا. If you do not forgive us. وَتَرْحَمْنَا. If you do not have mercy for us. لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. So basically what he says, the first taghfir lana is, the istighfar is forgiveness, is basically now you're out of trouble. We want to be out of trouble. But we don't only want to be out of trouble, we want your rahmah so we get the opportunity to do good. Just being out of trouble is not enough. You need to have the opportunity to do good. And this is the first dua of human beings. And he accepts. So look at ayah 26. Ya Bani Adam. I don't think I've got 26. I'm going to end here. So, Ya Bani Adam. Katanzalna alaykum libasan. Oh my goodness. Yuwari sawatikum warisha. I love that. So what did he do? Not only did he forgive them, he said, you're forgiven. You've got clothes. And he said, not only clothes. He said, I've given you clothes that are risha. Do you know what risha is? Risha is feathers on a bird. Do you know the beauty of a bird? Have you seen a plucked bird? You haven't? Google. See a plucked bird and then see a proper bird. Right? I'm not going to go into a man without a beard and one with a beard. I'm not going there. Okay? So you look at a chicken without its stuff, and then you look at a chicken with stuff. Here is saying, here Allah has commanded you, go shopping. Okay, don't go wild, okay? But wear clothes that are, well, good. Risha means make yourself look good. Not just leaves. Not just you wear a kanga underneath and then on top you wear your abaya. Or your pajamas, because when you lift your abaya, inside you can see Mickey Mouse. And that's okay. You can wear them at home. But here, when you come outside in front of people, everywhere, wear risha. Look good. Okay. You don't get it, do you? All right. So basically, when he forgives totally. And if anybody tells you, why are you wearing those clothes? Go to Qur'an 7:26. He tells you that I gave you clothes to be able to look good. Cover yourself up and look good. Hijab was not an excuse to look stupid. It really wasn't. Are you good with that? Oh, okay. I'm going to get into trouble for this. But it's Quran. It's not me. Are you good with 7:26? Okay. Inshallah, we will continue with Surah Al A'raaf because we don't really have the time. What I didn't do with you was Surah Al A'raaf I didn't do the focus. It's all about those who rejected divine guidance. Okay? And you will find how it works out. And we do A'raaf, you'll see where it comes. Are you good with that? Can we end with the Surah Al-Fatiha? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Please can we pray for the marhuma that was buried today? It was Mahatajri, and tomorrow it'll be Marhuma Siddiqa Jafar. Please pray for them when you're